Smith.
Hello, everybody. It is my happy privilege to introduce a new song, God Bless America. While the storm clouds gather far across the sea, let us swear allegiance to a land that's free. Let us all be grateful for a land so fair, as we raise our voices in a solemn prayer. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the prairie to the ocean white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the ocean.
Goodbye, Daddy.
Bye, Dad. Don't be late.
No?
White with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet
Right, Pop? Right, son.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans white with foam. God bless America.
Kind of makes you think of Blake, doesn't it? Makes you think of a lot of things. We're going to be in this yet, Mom.
Hello, son.
Hi, Mom.
Hello, darling.
New song?
Brand new, first time in the year.
Brand new, my eye. You know, I threw that song out of Yip Yip Yap Yank 22 years ago. Sounds better now.
God bless America, my home, sweet
Well,
That was the original version. Well, not really, but it was the original version as we know it of God Bless America. The song was written by undisputably the greatest American songwriter, Irving Berlin. And he wrote it in 1918 during World War I as a peace song, a prayer. Remember, they don't always use the introduction. And Kate Smith, when she did the introduction, sang it. It is often recited as a poem, the introduction. And the last words of the introduction are as a solemn prayer. And then she sings God Bless America. This was originally written in 1918. He revised it, Irving Berlin, that is, revised it as the storm clouds gathered. I'm thinking that maybe the introduction was written later in 1938, because you get a feeling that if you think of it carefully, as the storm clouds gather, this is while war is going on in Europe, and there's a great debate going on in the United States about whether we're going to join this war. And that was in 1938 that Kate Smith, woman you saw there, sang the revised version of it. And then, and I think what we actually saw is the 1943 version, which was written for the movie In the Army. So that may have been in fact produced and distributed during World War II. It was either in 1938 or 1943. And of course, it is one of the quintessential great American patriotic songs. But at the core, it was written as a prayer to God, asking him to bless America. If you can listen to that song and not cry or have some goosebumps or think about what our forefathers and mothers went through, or what our challenges are, then do some remedial education, please, or spiritual development, one of the other. These are the great monuments that develop a nationality, a country, that lift human beings to the highest level that they can be. And this is certainly one of them. God bless America. So thank you very, very much, Irving Berlin, for this great contribution. And I know there is some controversy about Kate Smith. I'm not sure I know what it is. And maybe I don't want to know what it is, because it's her art and talent that I'm listening to, not her worth as a human being, which I am in no position to judge. I had to go through this, and sometime I'll take you through it with the opera composer Richard Wagner. Now, I began opera, of course, as an Italian opera aficionado and fan, and then it spread to French opera, and then it spread to Spanish zarzuela when I got to know Placido Domingo. And it took me a while to get into German opera. And for a while, it was hard, because Wagner was a confirmed anti-Semite. And somehow I had to separate his music from his hatred of the Jewish people. And do you know who helped me do that? The great conductor James Levine at the Metropolitan Opera, who I had the honor of being one of the presenters at the Kennedy Honors for him. He said, the human personality is only for God to judge. And what they produce, who knows? It could be the tortured human being who produces the beautiful work that transforms you. I enjoy Wagner. I can listen to Wagner now, and I can enjoy Tristan and some of the other operas. It's still difficult. And give me Verdi or Puccini anytime. But I'm an Italian. I'm an American, but I'm of Italian background.
I think the people depicted in that video, the important thing to know about is that
we can't hear you, Rob. We can't hear you. If you want to, we got to put you on a microphone. If Rob is with us today, he's been with us for a day now. He's come to visit us at our retreat. He's come to visit us at our retreat in New Hampshire. Can we show them this whole room, Ted? It isn't.
Hello.
We'll show them again tomorrow when it's filled out for the 4th.
So what I was saying, I think
we don't have to do it right now. We can do it later. You see, I changed the. Actually, Rob and Ted changed the banner behind me. I had that beautiful banner, which is here somewhere, with the crosses and.
It's behind the one that's up now.
It's behind that. And I thought that was quite beautiful too, but you couldn't see a lot of it. You never really got it. It looked more like a religious banner, which it is, than a patriotic, and it's a combination patriotic and religious banner. But given the way it fit into the screen, it looked more like a religious banner. I have no objection to that. Look who I have here.
What, on the 250th?
Look who I have here. You know who that is? That's Michael the Archangel. He's the patron saint of police officers. Don't come mess with me. See him? See that sword? Michael.
But man,
Michael's a real guy.
I think what was important.
That's a real archangel.
I think what was important about the people depicted in that era, in that video, is that they were so in touch with their patriotic roots because they probably came from parents that.
When did it become embarrassing to be patriotic?
Yeah.
And then it became negative.
But for them,
first it was embarrassing, then it's negative, and now we see these polls that. I mean, I don't know how accurate they are, but I think they're somewhat accurate. The worst one I saw, only 29% of Democrats that were polled are proud to be Americans. Wow.
It's so crazy.
Now, how can that be?
That's the point. This is what I'm trying to.
If you're a Democrat, will you please write to me and tell me you're proud to be an American? I don't care what you believe in. Just tell me you're proud to be an American.
Well, these people don't have parents that came from war-torn countries and escaped with the skin of their teeth. That's the reason why they don't have.
When I was growing up, I had a family, both at home and the wider family, that was pretty closely, evenly divided between Republican and Democrat, which is maybe why I was able to govern New York. And my father, not only were they equally divided, the families were equally divided within the family as well. So my father was a Democrat and my mother was a Republican. They both had a number of brothers and sisters. And the brothers and sisters were divided between Republican and Democrat. My mother, who was a Republican, had mostly Republican brothers and sisters, but some very, very loyal Democrats, including one of the men who founded the Sanitation Workers Union. Yeah. Really left. My father's family was Democrat, but he had a brother, my hero, Rudy, like me, war hero, police hero, that was so conservative. And his younger brother, who was a vice president of a bank, Charles, was much more liberal. And my father, who was the oldest brother, was truly in the middle. My father was a Democrat by registration, but during my lifetime, I eventually became a Republican, like everybody did. But during my lifetime, even when he was a Democrat, he would vote for the best candidate. So would my mother, although she was a little more strictly a Republican. So it was very good for me because I got to hear both, and they would argue.
Oh, yeah.
Both families, whether it was my father's side of the family or my mother's side of the family, or for a very strange reason, we used to come together a lot as one family. Well, I'll tell you why, because my mother's brother married my father's sister. So we were intermarried twice. And then it was like, it wasn't the families against each other. The Republicans on my mother's side and the Republicans on my father's side got together against and these got to be every once in a while, they got to be really vicious battles.
Yes.
And the next day, one of them would give the shirt off his back to the other one.
Right.
When the holiday was over, and some of the people, some of the family wasn't political, and they would say, "Why?" And they just loved to do it. It was a great education for them.
Yes.
It was unbelievable for the kids. All of my cousins, alive or now dead, are politically interested. And when I ran for mayor, to some extent, my family was a political resource. My family members were extremely active in getting me elected mayor. I mean, I'll have them on the show sometime. The ones that are still alive, we're going to get together with them this summer. I'll see if I can get them. One of them that's the most politically active is only about an hour and a half from here in Maine. But they were all involved in my campaigns, and effectively, not burdens of any kind, just the opposite.
Yeah, they weren't polarized, and they were able to reflect on each other's
The Democrats
opinions.
loved America as much as the Republicans.
Right.
I never thought, well, one was more patriotic than the other. Now, Ted and I drive along and we look at the houses and we know the Republican houses because they have flags.
Well, I guess in order to be patriotic,
Democrats don't have flags anymore.
you have to know history. That's the problem, right?
Democrats are entitled to have flags. It'd be so much better if Democrats had flags. Am I being silly, Ted? Or is this a problem? Is this a problem that somehow the left-wing Marxists have made us embarrassed of our... You know what they've done? They've sort of equated nationalism with Nazism.
Right.
And Nazism is as evil as communism. Nationalism is being proud of who you are. And if you're not proud of who you are, you're a little skunk. It's like a person who has no self-worth. If you're not proud of yourself, well, go straighten yourself out, pal, because you're going to be useless if you have no self-worth. And if you don't have a self-worth as an American, what's America going to be? Now, because Hitler distorted nationality, so did the communists. They want to do away with nationality so they can dominate you. Nationality is in the way of communism and Nazism, because to be a German would mean not to be a Nazi. Everything in the German culture is opposed to being a Nazi. Everything in the American or English culture is opposed to being a communist or a Nazi, because we're members of Western civilization. We're Christians and Jews. So both the founders of communism, Marx, Engels, their successors realized you had to rip this culture away from them, because this culture would bring them back to God, bring them back to their children, bring them back to their parents. And they wanted to dominate you. Your loyalty should be to the Communist Party, to the Nazi Party, to Mohammed. So This is a big holiday for us to really start thinking a little more deeply about who we are and what we are. So let's see if we can get everybody up to date on the things they're not telling you about. First of all, I have to tell you, I had I'm not going to reveal what it was about or whatever, but I had a conversation with the president. I'm not going to tell you even when, but within a day or so. And I am very, very confident that he's got this thing really. What? Why would you doubt him? So I agree. I agree with some of the really great minds. We're going to see if we can figure out who they are for a minute. So we've been through a lot with this man, haven't we? Has he ever let us down? Really? I mean, talking you and me. Has he ever let us down? He told us that Russian collusion was a horrible calumny. It was. He told us that his conversation with Zelensky was not the conversation that they portrayed in their lying presentation by Shifty Shift and this guy Chiaramella, who somehow stays out of jail for it. That in fact, if you listen to the video or the tape of it, it was a perfectly legitimate conversation, made even more legitimate if you had the Hunter Biden computer and tape, which showed that they took in excess of $10 million in bribes from Ukraine, which was being hidden at the time to make it look like Trump did something wrong. If you haven't figured out by now that the 2020 election was stolen, you're really brainwashed. All you have to do is have a little discipline and look at the proof that's emerged from Georgia, from Pennsylvania, from Wisconsin, and from Arizona. I don't know. Maybe you could just step beyond all that with a 360-degree view and say to yourself, you know, on the night of the election, he was ahead, I think it was in 6 places. And in 5 of them, they stopped the count. And in all 5, he lost and Biden won. Even though in one of them, he was ahead by 700,000 votes. Now, what are the odds they cheated? Unless you buy this fantasy of the New York Times that Democrats don't cheat on an election. No. They've been doing that since before they were born. No, they have. They've been doing it since Boss Tweed. For many Democrats, politics is not a patriotic exercise anymore, or a spiritual exercise, or whatever. It's a business, and they want to keep control of the business. So if they're going to take bribes and kickbacks, they're going to cheat on the election, and they take a lot more bribes and kickbacks than you have any idea.
Oh my God! Yeah,
I can demonstrate that to you by just giving you, as I did in the earlier show, a reflection of the budget of New York and Florida. The budget that Mondami, the communist, just did for New York is $127 million. The budget for Florida is $1 billion. I'm sorry, and the $1 billion. Now this is for.
So when every media organization on the planet came out,
So here we go.
and said it was the most perfect election ever in the history of
So
mankind.
127 billion for 8.4 million people, and then 120 billion in Florida for 22 million people. That's 3 times more people. So the budget of Florida, based on that, should be about $400 billion, which is about the budget of New York State, which also has less people than Florida. So what's happening to that extra? What's happening to that extra $100 billion or so? Does that mean that New York is more efficient, cleaner, better schools, no worse? That's the kickback money. That's the Boss Tweed, Carmine DeSapio, and now Mondami, the communist money. It gets spread all around. They all become rich, and the city remains poor. So Charlie Rangel dies with a great funeral. Started with nothing, ended up being worth $32 million, never worked a day in his life. And Harlem was shit when he died, and it was shit before he started. And who made it nice? Me. And I know the whole story. So this is what has to be fixed. You are in time when our great founding fathers 250 years ago put their lives at risk, signed that document, which was a death warrant, as much as it was a Declaration of Independence. It may have been more of a death warrant than a Declaration of Independence. They didn't expect that you're going to be governed by thieves. And in many, many places in this country, not all, but in many places, particularly in the Democrat governments, you're governed by thieves. And then my party becomes kind of like they take the little crumbs, but they don't really contest it. And that's what I found when we challenged the election. So many of them ran for the hills because they didn't want to get indicted like I did. But we're going to take a short break. We're going to do what Americans do. We're going to sell things because we're not communists. And then we're going to come back with Rabbi Daniel Schoenbach, who I had the privilege of being on his show earlier today. This is a remarkable man. You just stay tuned. U.S. Army Major Scott Smiley paid a high price serving our nation. Scott was leading his platoon in Iraq when a blast sent shrapnel through his eyes, leaving him blind and temporarily paralyzed. Scott would become the first blind active duty military officer before medically retiring years later. Thanks to friends like you, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation gave Scott and his family a mortgage-free, specially adapted smart home. Show your support for America's heroes now. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org.
Are you ready for some action?
I'm ready for action.
Get the Elite TV plan only through the portal. 218 channels, and it's only $69.95 a month,
Wow.
including your free portal.
That's cheaper than everyone else.
Your favorite sports, movies, news,
Wow.
even daytime dramas. We're talking about ESPN, OAN, Newsmax,
Wow.
channels you can't get anymore in certain areas.
Compared to the competition, this is a way better deal.
Endless selection. Not to mention all the free music channels. There's over 700 premium and classic movies all ready to go.
Wow.
Plus, they got catch-up TV that allows you to go back and watch what you've missed or want to watch again. Cut your cable in half and get twice as much for free.
Way more channels for half the cost.
After the first year, the subscription then drops to $57.95 monthly,
Wow.
where you change or upgrade anytime. Go to QUXNow.com and get yours today. Use promo code RUDY. Act fast. These deals are selling out.
Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because they like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic,
non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans. No Robusto, all Arabica. They're going to go into the roaster, and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee.
Stickermule.com. /pro. What's stickermule.com? You know, stickermule.com is two things. First of all, it's a place you can get patriotic items. And you make your choice of how you want to express your patriotism. You can be, you know, way out there like some people or whatever. Or you can be subtle or I don't know. You look at us right now, we look like we're way out there, but we're usually kind of subtle, but very patriotic. It's only if I forget or make some terrible accident that I don't wear my pin. I've worn this pin since September 11. And I've worn this, I don't know. I've worn this since pretty much right after September 11. This is in honor of a large number of people who died on September 11. And the other is in honor of the homicide that we haven't solved of Ashley Babbitt. Why did I pick those? I don't know. But you got to pick something, right? Life is bigger than you. Life is more important than you are. God is more important than you are. Other people are more important than you are. Your service to them is the most important thing. You got to keep reminding yourself of that because everybody wants to turn inward. Well, we have, so I want you to go to stickermule.com/pro, promo code Rudy. You get a nice flag like that, huh? Now, Ted is making all kinds of signals to me. Want me to move this way? Okay. Am I right now, Ted? Am I right in the middle? Oh, wow. Look at that. That looks so much better. I actually look handsome now. Now, let's go to Rabbi Daniel Schoenbach, who I believe is in Jerusalem, the great, legendary, holy city of Jerusalem for all of us, Christians and Jews. It's our city, Rabbi. You know, I don't understand how people can dispute the Jewish people's right to having a homeland built around Jerusalem, since, if I'm correct, and you correct me, you're a rabbi, but for 1,500, 16 or 1,800 years, don't you finish the service on Passover by saying, we'll join you in Jerusalem next year?
Yeah, we've been doing that for thousands of years. Since
so how is that not your home?
It really is our home. And you walk around the streets here. I mean, where I'm staying right now, I can see the Temple Mount, the Holy Temple. I can see the Western Wall. You know, you walk around Jerusalem, you're walking around biblical history. You're breathing it every step you take. It's a remarkable thing. And
we love Jerusalem. Dr. Maria and I love Jerusalem. My children love Jerusalem. And also, I have to say, I know Jerusalem before the Israeli government was in charge of the holy sites. And I know Jerusalem after. And your respect for our religious sites is so different than the Muslims, in which you give us perfect access. I mean, it's not like Saudi Arabia where you can't have a cross, you can't say a mass. I mean, I've been to mass in Jerusalem. I've been to mass in Bethlehem before the Muslims took over. Now I can't go to mass there. What a difference. What a difference.
Before the Palestinian Authority took over Bethlehem years ago, I think there was 85% Christians. Now there's maybe 10% Christians. So you want to know where the real genocide's taking place amongst Christians, the Palestinians are doing it to the Christians.
Yeah, well, they hate us as much as they hate you. There's no difference. If you read the Quran doesn't make a distinction between Jews and Christians. We're all infidels. And sometimes he hates you more and sometimes he hates us more, but he hates everybody who isn't his slave.
Well, we're called, the Jews and Christians are called dhimmi, which are really second and third class citizens. And that's enshrined in the Quran. So people, I like to change the debate between the Israel-Arab, war to the Israel or Western war against Islamic fundamentalism. And Hamas, for example, October 7th, you look at their charter, which was written in 1988. I refer everybody to go to Article 7, calls for the murder of every Jew in the world. So that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with a brutal society, a fascistic society that wants to tear down Judeo-Christian civilization. And Israel's fighting the battle. Israel is the front line for America for fighting and keeping it in the Middle East so it doesn't spill it to the United States.
Yeah. And also, do you have a very large audience in Israel?
My audience is mostly English speaking, and it's really across the United States, Canada, and the Western world right now. But I do have followers in it.
Because I really feel a great debt of gratitude to the Israeli people and to the prime minister for what you did in the year and a half leading up to Donald Trump coming into office. Because everything could have been lost if we had a different prime minister. It took great courage, and by the time we had to attack Iran, they had no defense, and that's due to the Israeli military.
Well, look what happened during the war. I mean, Europe has been depending upon America for 70 years to protect it. When America saw the threat of the Islamic bomb being built by the IRGC over the last few years, Europe wasn't to be found. They didn't allow American ships or planes to dock or to park in certain countries in Europe. I'm talking about England. I'm talking about France, the countries we helped save in the Second World War. There was one country in the world that came to the rescue to work hand in hand, was the Israeli Air Force. Remarkable feat in human history. That bond between America and Israel is so profound. It projects American force through the Middle East. There's one ally that the Americans can count on, and that's the Israeli government.
Well, do you know who told me that first time? If I hadn't figured it out myself, Ronald Reagan. Wow. I worked for Ronald Reagan. Probably it's the greatest experience of my life. And there was a point, I don't remember what crisis it was, and my work for him was in the criminal justice area. But Ronald Reagan, like President Trump, was very, very open and would talk very freely to people. And at one point, he said to me and the group of young men that were with me, the reason that we are so strongly connected to Israel you should never have it depend on domestic politics, whether they're Democrats or Republicans or whatever they are. Different. Israel is the best friend America has. And at that time, England too, because he said, here's exactly what he said. He said, people have very few good friends in the world. You're going to find when you're in trouble, very few of your friends really stay with you. We got two, England and Israel. Whenever I go to Israel, whether it's a conservative government or a left-wing government, and I need something, they're there. And you can't really imagine the things they've done for me. I can't even describe them. So whenever they need something, I'm there for them, and you should be there for them.
I was here in February 28th, actually, to be exact, when the war started on a Saturday morning. And it was a remarkable experience. I was in and out of the bomb shelters over 100 times over a 3-week period during the war. But one time I took a little trip to downtown Jerusalem. When you come to Jerusalem, there's this tremendous, it looks like a great bridge before the central bus station. And it was lit up in red, white, and blue. And there was a great picture of Donald Trump thanking him projected onto the entrance to Jerusalem. That really describes the tremendous bond between Israel. Israelis love America, where most of
and vice versa, if you're a good American.
Yes.
Every good American loves it. Why wouldn't I love Israel? You love us, and you're with us, and you help us. And by the way, if I have to go into a war, I can't think of a country I wouldn't want next to me than Israel. I mean, forget England, forget France. I mean, I want England. I want Israel. And I want to develop the same thing in Asia. I want to see Japan like that. I want to see India like that. And then we can take on China. So Israel is a great model for us. Like I would tell the prime minister of Japan, who loves us, who loves America, you want a model, you want to be a great friend of America forever, copy Israel.
And I don't think people realize this, Rudy, but there are no American bases in Israel.
Well, we don't need them. We might screw you up. You do such a good job.
Yeah, don't come. But America has bases in different Middle Eastern countries. There's this whole debate if we're giving too much foreign aid to Israel. I know Bibi's talked about pulling back on the aid, even though the $3 billion or so that is given to Israel is spent back in the American economy.
Yeah, I know that. And that's another ridiculous thing, how much money we give Israel. It's nothing compared to what we've given to Ukraine. And I'm not necessarily a big critic of, I don't like what Russia's doing in Ukraine, despite the fact that I don't like Zelensky. I don't like what Russia's doing in Ukraine. So I'm not begrudging the money we gave them. But that's a heck of a lot more money than we've ever given Israel.
Yeah, and look at the technology that came out of that relationship between America and Israel. I mean,
and you don't steal. You don't steal. Ukraine steals.
Yeah, the money is spent on missile defense, and no greater example was during the war with Iran. I was here. There were hundreds of missiles that were flying towards Israel, and I heard the missiles coming. What I really heard is the bang, which was our missiles hitting the American Israeli missiles hitting the Iranian missiles. America saved.
When was that? When was that, Rabbi? Which? I mean, there've been several occasions like that. I'm trying to locate when. When was that? When you went through that experience?
Well, just a few months ago, I was here. I came February 18th. The war started February 28th. I was here for about 3 weeks during the war, and it was remarkable. We all felt here at the time America had our back because the Iron Dome and the David Sling and all these missile systems which have been developed in cooperation with the United States, which could be used by the American government to protect American citizens around the world as well. So I saw the real power of America, Israel working together. And I have to tell you something, I was so proud of America and so proud of Israel standing together.
I would like people to consider the following. Do you really think there's a big separation between the United States and Israel now? Or do you think it's good guy, bad guy? I know both men. I know both men for approximately the same amount of time. I met Donald Trump in 1986, 87. I met Bibi in 1985. If you think they're really separated from each other, you don't know them. Because when Donald Trump is separated from someone, that's all he talks about. You've seen him when he has an enemy, right?
100%. You don't want to be in his way, Donald Trump.
So here's what he does. Bibi went too far. That was much too far. Should not have done that. But he's the greatest prime minister in the history of Israel. Oh my, he might even be greater than Churchill. Hey, President Trump, you can't fool me.
Well, these are
and Bibi the same thing. Bibi's got a temper. And every time Trump sort of acts like well, I understand. And he doesn't, if this were real, he would not understand. These men have played a brilliant strategy on them. And it hasn't played out yet. Believe me, I don't have any inside information but my gut instincts, which are pretty good because I know them. And this is a very solid relationship built on the fact that they've been through wars together and come out on top for their people.
Well, that's what my instincts tell me too. The bond is extremely strong. The friendship is extremely powerful. And although Donald Trump is, his personality, Donald Trump, it's very verbose, it's very exciting, it's very dynamic, but Sometimes he threatens a bit of a carrot, a bit of a stick, but I trust him fully right now. I know
Yeah,
I
you
know what he's
should.
doing right now. And most people, Americans, do. And I want to tell you something else. What's great about Bibi and Donald Trump is really going back to the Reagan years, is this concept of peace through strength. That's where we're seeing the world changing. The minute Donald Trump deposes the dictator of Venezuela, threatens Cuba, takes down Iran, years ago, the Axis, the Venezuela, the Iranians, the North Koreans, and so on, the minute he takes it down through strength, America becomes safer. America becomes stronger. The world reorganizes around us. That is real leadership from my
That's very,
perspective.
very correct.
We need more of that in the world.
You know, there's a saying that's used that often is very, very, very fictitious and exaggerated. Some of my best friends are Jewish. Some of my best friends are black. But the fact is, with Ronald Reagan and Donald Trump, some of their best friends were and are Jewish. And both of them had a great respect for the Jewish people, as I do. So why do I love Israel so much? Because of the experiences that I've had with Jewish people. And from the time I went there in 1985 for the first time with the Jewish Community Relations Council, it's like that. I mean, I am very, very proud of the fact that I prosecuted 2 Nazis and sent them off to their death in the former Soviet Union when I was U.S. attorney. And it taught me so much about the Holocaust that I can't even repeat it without crying. And so much about the strength of the Jewish people and what they've meant to us. It's allowing this to happen is ripping out a cornerstone of our civilization. You're one of the strongest rocks in what makes up Western civilization. And that's why they're coming at you.
Well, we realize this. You know, there's an Arab saying, first the Saturday people, then the Sunday people. And now we're all together in the same boat. But I got to tell you, this friendship between Jews and Christians goes back behind your head, is the 250th anniversary, that poster behind you. And that's what's the beginning of this tremendous relationship. You know, Benjamin Franklin proposed that the seal of America would have on it Moses on top of a mountain where the Jewish people were leaving Egypt. The Puritans, the founders of this country 250 years ago, saw this tremendous camaraderie between Jews and Christians. I think they saw themselves on some level as a kind of new Jewish people as well. You
Yes,
know,
of course.
we had the Pharaoh in Egypt, and the Americans had the King of England. So there's a lot of parallels between these two communities and a tremendous love and respect for each other. And that's why America really has been a safe place for Jews for 250 years. We have not experienced anti-Semitism almost at all in the United States. There's some aberrations along the way, but also I don't believe very, very little anti-Semitism, except now with Islamism and the Red-Green Alliance, the Democratic Socialist America, the Mamdani types. They're bringing this form of bigotry, Islamic bigotry, from Arab and Islamic countries. And that's what we're seeing for the first time. I think people are in absolute shock.
I agree. I have no, I mean, that is a very good explanation for me, who has been searching for one, because I go back, I can't be absolutely accurate, 10 years, 15 years, in just talking to my friends saying, oh, that can't happen here. In 2004, 2005, I was sent to Vienna to head a delegation of Americans to object to the anti-Semitism in France that was going on. And we had this conference in Vienna. It was a group of Republican and Democratic congressmen and senators, and I was the chairman of the delegation. And I was very, very like, oh, this could never happen in America. And now that I look back on it, I feel like such a fool. Maybe it was happening in America at the time, but we didn't see it. And then it sure did happen in America, and we didn't see it. And I very much am guided by the lessons that I learned from reading history and from Jewish people. And you have to attack this at the earliest possible moment. You can't let it go You've got to attack it at the earliest possible moment and correct it. And we're not doing that as well as we should right now.
It's also a real canary in the coal mine. In history, when empires are in distress, the fascists, the dictators often go after the Jews first. And I think we're seeing that, unfortunately, right now. However, I do believe that we have to channel the spirituality and energy of the supercentennial right now. We have to go back to our roots of the founding of this great country that talked about liberty and justice and inalienable rights. We have to help young people get back to the real values where this country was founded. That's the greatest antidote from my perspective against this new anti-Semitism.
So true. Yeah, I keep thinking that compared to 4 or 5 years ago, we're doing a better job of pointing out their problems and the hypocrisy and the attacks that they're doing. We're picking it up like Platner and these people. What we're not doing is painting the picture of what we can offer, of our great civilization, of the beautiful brilliance of the Old Testament and the New Testament, and what we can offer to people. And I think if we do that, we'll get a lot of these young people, because I see a lot of these young people some yearning for some form of structure.
Well, what they're yearning for, I'm a psychologist, and I've written books about Viktor Frankl, who wrote the book Man Search for Meaning. And what I'm experiencing as a therapist and as a commentator on American culture is just a lack of meaning in our society due to social media. It's the TikTok generation. And in that vacuum of meaninglessness, and that vacuum is where all the violence, hatred, and destruction is actually coming from. So the only way to, confront this is simply by helping people find more meaning in their lives. And I think it's so true. And I think, again, the supercentennial, hopefully they're going to pick up to some degree that they need to, reconnect to the foundation of this country, which is built upon liberty. And I want to add one more thing. I don't think Americans understand how precious the United States is. People complain about America isn't good enough. If you want to see how great America is, go around the world, go to the third world, where you can't get water and electricity and medical care. Go to Canada, for example, where you have to wait a year before getting an MRI. In the United States of America, you can probably get an MRI in 24 to 48 hours. We're living in a miraculous country with the greatest freedom, the greatest wealth in human history, and we have to keep on fighting for it, because as Ronald Reagan said, I will paraphrase him, we can lose our freedoms within one generation. I think we're getting there right now. It's time to fight back, and hopefully the supercentennials will remind us of how we fight back, which is by proclaiming liberty and justice for everybody.
Rabbi, how can people follow you on a regular basis, and how do you divide your time between Israel and the United States?
Well, I come back and forth a few times a year to deal with my parents. They're quite elderly right now. And people can get in touch with me through my website. It's rabbiforamerica.com. They can follow my YouTube channel on rabbiforamerica.com. They could read some of my articles on that channel, and they could really keep up with me. I have a very active podcast, the Rabbi for America podcast on YouTube, and I've interviewed some very famous people, including yourself, Douglas Murray, Alan Dershowitz, and others. Ayan Hirsi Ali, I met recently. So I'm really promoting this Judeo-Christian concepts that you and I have been talking about today. I had Eric Metaxas on just a few weeks ago. We talked about his new book, Revolution, about the importance of that Judeo-Christian connection in the American Revolution. So I'm promoting these values. So people want to find out what I'm doing and keep up with me, join me at rabbiforamerica.com.
Well, Rabbi, you're exceptional. And when you're back in the United States, I would love to meet with you personally.
I'd love to. I'll come
It
out
would
to
be an
Florida.
honor for me.
My honor, too.
I'm very, very impressed. Thank you, Rabbi. And God bless you, and be safe.
God bless you.
That's an exceptional man, I can tell you. That's an exceptional man. There are priests and rabbis and cardinals and bishops and I don't know what else, but that man is, he's got it. And we're going to we're going to go listen over the weekend that's coming up tomorrow and listen to Ted. I think Ted found him for us, right, Ted? By doing some
great stuff,
research,
Paul.
by doing a little research.
We'll do some.
Yeah, rabbiforamerica.com. I think that's a very appropriate title, listening to him. And it's so important that so many people that don't have experience with Judaism. I mean, I meet people from various parts of America that said, I grew up and I never met a Jewish person. Well, I grew up and Jewish people were all around me. I mean, they were in my house and they were here and that, and they were just part of. So you need to listen to men like this to realize how beautiful their heritage is, how much it has to do with your heritage. And maybe the main thing to remind very fundamentalist Christians is Jesus Christ was a Jew, and he died a Jew. So I don't know how you can have harsh feelings about that religion. Now, you get people like Fuentes and Tucker Carlson, who didn't really challenge this when he interviewed Fuentes, and for that, we're all owed an explanation. But they use that part of the gospel which says that his blood is on us and our people as a curse. Now, first of all, if that's accurate, which I imagine it is if it's in the gospel, how can those people there convey a curse beyond their existence to 2,000 years later to a group of people who are Jewish? To believe that, you have to believe in Satanism or witchcraft, that you can convey curses from generation to generation to generation to generation to generation to generation. Come on, Tucker, what kind of moron are you? Or Fuentes or whoever else believes this. Or this thing that Trump determines American foreign policy based on Israel. How ridiculous is that? So I don't know where this all came out. It disappoints me. It makes me very heartsick to see these people resorting to the anti-Semitism that I remember in the horrible times of 1950 and 1960. I thought we were way beyond that. We'll get there again. I have great confidence in the ethical solidity of the United States of America because of what I illustrated more on my first show than my second show, which is the religious foundation of our Declaration of Independence and our Bill of Rights. The foundational right is our right to freedom of religion. That's the thing that distinguishes us from all other countries. When we declared our freedom of religion in England, you had to be a member of the English church run by the King or Queen of England, or they killed you. You had to be a member of a church founded by a murderer and an adulterer. And if you weren't, they killed you. If you were a Methodist or a Presbyterian or a Roman Catholic, what kind of church is that? The Roman Catholic Church and the Orthodox Church is Greek, Armenian, on and on, Coptic. go back to before we can remember. Maybe into the first century, maybe into the second century. Their practices, their theology, their liturgy emerges from that. The Protestant Reformation around 1500 was a good thing for the superficial problems that had developed and sins and corruption in the papacy, and how it had become so much of a popular or populist institution, but it had no relationship to the teaching of Jesus Christ, because it was 1,500 years removed. How did Luther have a better understanding of what Jesus taught than Irenaeus, who interpreted Jesus from talking to the apostles? How did Luther determine that when James says that you're not saved by faith alone, but by good works as well? He was wrong. What was it Luther based that on? Not enough good works? The fact that he rejected his vows as a priest? The fact that he married a nun? Or maybe Henry VIII, who wanted to get rid of his wife, wanted to marry another woman, then kill the other woman? That's the founder of a church. The King of England is the head of a church. And the first King of England was a murderer and an adulterer. He's the founder of a church. When are we going to step back from these distortions and fix them? But we're going to talk about that.
When we get an honest media.
We're going to talk about that. We don't really have to worry about the media here because they don't understand it.
Well, when the media...
It's way beyond them.
Yeah, when the media inevitably comes over to what we're doing now, streaming, thank God.
So let me remind you that freedom of religion, which is the first and most basic right in our Bill of Rights, and the foundational basis for our Declaration of Independence, which is based on the rights that come from God, not given to us by government, not given to us by the king, but from God. Let's remember this was very unique at that time. It was revolutionary. It changed the world.
No.
To this day, it's revolutionary. In Saudi Arabia, as we pointed out, I believe at the beginning of this broadcast, Saudi Arabia does not allow you to display a cross or a Jewish star. It doesn't allow you to have a public church. No public display of Christian symbols. It's all illegal. They want to deal with Christianity by snuffing it out. Christianity predated Muhammad by 500 years. They want to wipe it out. Muhammad, whose pedigree is much worse than Henry VIII. Muhammad was a mass murderer. If you read the Quran and the Hadith, Muhammad was a pedophile. If you read the Quran and Hadith, Muhammad spent a good deal of time trucking with the devil. If you read the Quran and Hadith, his revelations will replace those of Jesus Christ. So as a result of that, in Saudi Arabia, in deference to the pedophile and mass murderer, you can't have a cross, you can't have a crucifix, you can't have a Bible, you can't have anything that's non-Islamic. Anything other than that leads to arrest, deportation, and other penalties which vary at various times. I mean, you could be flogged, you could be put in prison for 10 years, or maybe they could kill you. Now, they do allow a certain amount of private worship, but you do that at your own risk. They can hold discreet private gatherings in homes or compounds, but anything public risks arrest. So we're going back to Rome before Constantine. We're going back to being in the caves and the catacombs with Saudi Arabia. And we're all worried that they're not agreeing with us on Iran. They persecute our religion. Saudi Arabian law restricts public non-Islamic worship, proselytizing, and symbols to preserve the country's Islamic identity. This is their explanation. Public displays of other faith are seen as challenging that. Pretty damn insecure, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I would be if my founder was a murderer and a pedophile. Personal religious items like a small cross or Bible for private use may sometimes be brought in without issue. But if they're visible, you could have a big problem. That's Saudi Arabia. I don't know. We can look at the other ones if you want. That's what we want to be. I've been to Israel 20 times. Every time I go to Israel, I carry with me my rosary beads. I've never been stopped. I was told if I wanted to go into Saudi Arabia, I better leave them in Dubai, where they were okay in Dubai. I said, well, F you, I don't want to go to Saudi Arabia. If I can't keep my rosary beads in my pocket, I'm not going to go to Saudi Arabia. Stick it up your... I shouldn't say that. I mean, it isn't the right way to do it, but I came from Brooklyn, you know. I'm a Brooklyn Catholic. So we don't use all the right words. But what is that? And what are we doing by letting this continue? The reign of terror is the biggest manifestation of that. I really, truly believe if we could crack the reign of terror, we could get through the rest of them. Even Mohammed bin Salman, who I think goes back and forth with the wind a little bit. I don't think he believes all this crazy stuff. This 5th, 6th century slice people's heads off. And I believe he wants to change his country, but he's frightened, as the Saudis have always been. I mean, one of the reasons they had 15 people slaughtering our citizens on September 11 is not because they directed it, because they were afraid to contain it. So I don't know, is there much of a difference between, I guess there is, between deliberate wrongdoing and cowardice?
They're one and the same, almost.
Well, yeah, one empowers the other, right?
Yeah.
So tomorrow is the day that John Adams thought would be the day that would live in eternity. July 3rd, 1776. the day they adopted the Declaration of Independence. John, I know you were a very egotistical and tough man to deal with, but a brilliant man, and I respect you so much, even as a lawyer. Oh, you were one of the greatest men in our history. But you had your own idiosyncrasies, right? And you were probably right about July 3rd. That is the day they adopted it. But because they made a big ceremony on the 4th, you didn't understand, like television now. It's all in the presentation. This is what Donald Trump understands that you didn't. Right? That's why he's a 2-term president. You were a 1-term president. Oh, I shouldn't be teasing with one of the greatest men in our history. Look at them there. There they are, presenting the Declaration. The tallest one is Jefferson, of course. And Jefferson would tell you he didn't write it alone. He needed the help of all of them. There's the Great Hall in Philadelphia. I've been there several times, even for conferences. They were great feeling to be there. If you don't feel it in the walls, you're not an American. And now we got these people. There they are debating the final edits, July 2nd, 1776. They had to get Caesar Rodney, who was half dying, to come there. He was in Delaware, I think. They had to bring him there so he could vote on the 3rd. I guess Delaware always had that problem, huh?
Nothing new.
I guess they didn't have an auto pen then, huh? Caesar Rodney, if you were Biden, could have used an auto pen.
Right.
I don't know which one that is, but that guy looks a little bit too healthy to be Caesar Rodney. There's John Hancock making sure the guy puts his real signature on it, just in case a couple of people might change their name to avoid execution by the English. You got to understand the dynamic that's going on there. I don't know. There aren't any great dramatic, really good, some good documentaries, but there isn't really a great dramatic movie about this. But the musical 1776 is worth watching over this period of time. I may watch it tonight.
There's Rodney Caesar statue in him.
That's Rodney. You know, they present him as a very sick man in the musical. And I guess he was sick because they had to bring him there to vote, which happens every once in a while now in our Congress, right? They bring some guy off his deathbed to vote. Is that Caesar Rodney?
Caesar, yeah.
Imagine being named Caesar in those days. So while we're doing this, Ted, this snuck up on me. This Madat Karos. Do you know what Madat Karos is?
I've heard the name.
Oh, say Colorado primary.
Yep.
Malat, I'm sorry, did I say Madat? Malat Karos defeated longtime U.S. Representative Diana DeJet 53-40, ousting a stalwart of Colorado progressivism who's been in office longer than 29-year-old Karos has been alive. The race, coming on the heels of far-left wins in New York last week, was seen as a test of whether Democrat socialists could gain traction outside of the coast. Well, Colorado is not the coast, but it is overwhelmed with marijuana, which may be an excuse for what happened here. The last time I was in Colorado, the marijuana was so bad, I didn't want to play golf. I was like this. Is that Milat Karos? I mean, she's a lovely looking woman, but long viewed as a red-leaning swing state. I don't know when that was. That was a while ago. Colorado usually backed Republicans in presidential races until 2008. So that would have been the first Obama phony race, right? Until where we were had. Now Democrats control both Senate seats, 2/3 majority in the state legislature, and Democrat socialists like Mondami, like the maniacs he elected, see Colorado as a real possibility for turning us into a communist country. In addition to Carouse, the young lady you see right there, Milat Carouse, 2/3, now Democrats control both Senate seats and hold nearly 2/3 majority in both state chambers. And Democrat socialists see this as fertile territory. In addition to Carouse, progressive state representative Manny Rutinel won an election to be the party's nominee for the Colorado's most competitive congressional seat, an area that's just a little northeast of Denver and Boulder. So Milat and Manny Rutinel are DSA candidates. So I think Milat, who defeated Diana DeJet, who's been in office for 2,000 years, is probably she's a shoo-in, right? She's a DSA member. She's in favor of defunding the police, the whole thing. And then there's another candidate in this district, which they say is competitive, with Manny Rutinel. I don't know if they mean that's competitive with a Republican.
Well, yeah.
Now, remember, Colorado was Republican. When it turned kind of Democrat, it was middle-of-the-road Democrats like John Hickenlooper and Michael Bennett, who were, in fact, bipartisan. They'd vote Democrat, they'd vote Republican. You could talk to them. And this young lady, Kiros, who's that guy?
That's Manny Rutinel. That's
who?
Manny Rutinel.
Well, that's the other guy? So this young lady was born in Ethiopia. She was raised in Denver. How about this? She got a law degree from the University of Notre Dame. And she went to work for a New York law firm. I'd like to know which one. She was fired from the New York law firm because of an open letter challenging the idea that it is anti-Semitic to support the elimination of the Israeli state. In other words, she said you could support the elimination of the Israeli state, throw the Jews out of their homeland, and that's not anti-Semitic. So what is anti-Semitic? Throw them in the ocean? From river to sea? That's not anti-Semitic? Given the amount of anti-Semitism in the world, the rationale for the state of Israel becomes that much greater than it was like 20 or 30 years ago. One could say 20 or 30 years ago. I never agree with this, but you could say it and it would be worth a discussion. Why do we really need Israel? There's no anti-Semitism left. So let Jews integrate as Americans or English or French or German, and nobody's going to be prejudiced against them. Can you really say that now? When they're burning, I mean, it's been 25 years that they've been burning Jewish houses of worship in France. Buenos Aires was in 2003. Oh, maybe it was in the 1990s. I mean, can you now say that the rationale for the state of Israel no longer exists? It was a period of time in my lifetime that you never would have convinced me of that, because I went through the Holocaust, meaning I prosecuted it and I saw it up front. But I could see how you could convince people in the 1980s, 1990s, is Israel really that necessary? Is there really isn't America as good a homeland and sinecure for Jews as Israel? How about New York? I mean, I used to tease the mayor of Jerusalem and the mayor of Tel Aviv. I had more Jewish citizens than you did, and they were as well protected. And they loved me, and I loved them, and I considered myself part Jewish. So much part Jewish that I inveigled my way into a Hanukkah party in the first Trump administration by convincing the lady who was doing that I was half Jewish, and she believed it. Because I was mayor of New York, my positions, and I don't mind telling you, I love the Jewish people as much as I do my own, because I consider them my own. I don't think I'd have a religion if it wasn't for the Jews. I don't think Jesus thinks we would have a religion without the Jews. After all, the head of my religion died a Jew. So Madat Karos is, she thinks the party leaders in the Democratic Party are complacent. And she's, as they say, I don't know her definite positions, but they say she's as left-wing as Madonna. This is another. We're going to have to take a look, Ted, because they're building up. We got to take a look, maybe this weekend if we have some time, and how many of these are building up now, like on a map. How many of these little mandamis are there? And some of them, as I listen to them, sound like they're worse than Mandani.
Big enough that it's become a news story lately.
Yeah. You know, and every once in a while they pop up, like here in Colorado. I didn't know about this one, and I think I knew a little about this one, but this other one, Manny Rutinel, I didn't know about him. So is it possible that the DSA can take over? The DSA does not. People can mistake the DSA, and who knows, they may moderate as they become more practical. But the DSA wants to destroy the Democrat Party.
And they're being invited.
That's why they're running against. I mean, so she just defeated a 29-year Democrat. The ones in New York defeated establishment Democrats.
But isn't the Democrat Party almost kind of inviting them to do it? Oddly enough.
Yeah, 100%. 100%, Rob. They are inviting them to do it.
And
I
why
think
is that?
that's a perfect description. Why are they doing that?
Isn't that weird? It means they don't even care about their own history, the history of their own party. They're willing to throw that in the garbage along with their crazy radical agenda.
So one of the things, I mean, there are so many things they support that are massively destructive. One of them is rent control. And Mandami just passed that. You know, I lived in a city that was destroyed by rent control and worked its way out of it. And when I fought against rent control with Governor Pataki, Republican governor, we had on our side, half the people we had on our side were left-wing economists. Because what rent control does is, so I own an apartment, I own apartment buildings. And they're middle-class apartment buildings. In order for me to maintain them and to make them nice, I have to make at least a reasonable profit on them, right? Now you do rent control and you constantly cut into I make no profit, no profit, no profit, no profit. So now unless I'm rich enough to become a charitable donor, right? Unless my business unless you have involuntarily turned my business from a business into a charity, but I can't afford a charity. I can't make the repairs that should be made. I can't fix the things that should be fixed. I can't keep the apartment up to modern standards. Since you're not allowing me to raise the rent as the cost of all of these things, the cost of air conditioning, the cost of water, the cost of electricity, the cost of modern sinks, and goes up and up and up and up and up. It's just a matter of common sense. You're not giving me the ability to raise to rent, even if you put some limit on it, to keep up with it so I can make a reasonable profit, so I can reinvest it in the housing stock. So what happens generally when you do that in a city like New York or Chicago? Now we have a object lesson of this. You destroy the housing. You literally eviscerate it. Liberal and conservative economists, with the exception of far out, completely dishonest Marxists, would agree that rent control is completely destructive. This isn't like this idea they're progressive. Rent control isn't progressive. Rent control is completely retrogressive. We have tried it. It is a dismal failure, like socialism. But this is what Mondami is doing in New York. This is what all these people are recommending for all over the country. And Mondami has already initiated the first step of it.
Well, you know what's insidious about it is that it'll make people maybe happy for a little while, right? It's like a heroin addict looking for a quick fix, but the long term is going to be a cataclysm.
It'll make them happy when they don't get an increase in rent. It'll make them unhappy when the drug dealer knocks their door down and steals from them or rapes them.
Right.
And that's what will fill up the building.
Right.
Because first of all, people who have any means at all. So it works both ways. The landlord can't fix the building, so the building deteriorates. The tenants that have some means move out.
Yeah.
The tenants that move in are
desperados,
are either totally impoverished people or criminals.
Yep.
And they use it as criminal sinecures. It becomes havens for drug dealing, havens for prostitution, havens for child molestation.
Democrat
havens
voters.
For things that Democrats find okay, I guess.
Right.
And there has been one of the healthy things that happened in liberal thinking is there was a recognition that rent control was terrible. And they began to unwind it. I lived through a legislation in Albany supported by Democrats that did away with rent control.
But then the socialist Democrats, they had a whole new idea.
But now the Democrat socialists are here, and they're gonna bring it back, and they call it progressive. It's not progressive. It's been tried. It's a failure. Just like socialism has been tried, it's not a failure. It's a homicidal disaster. Socialism ends in disaster, usually with the loss of human life. Minimum wage. So far, the places that have used minimum wage, the studies that have been done show that they increase inflation, that they reduce significantly the number of jobs, and they lead to higher prices for items with fewer people working. Very smart. Very smart. There isn't a single precept of socialism that hasn't been tried and become a disastrous failure for poor people. If at this point in the history of socialism, which is, depending on how you want to calculate it, 150 to 170 years, there isn't a single example of a success. And there are many examples of violent conclusions to it.
If there is indeed a Malthusian component to Marxists, socialists, then wouldn't this all just make perfect sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've tried it 8 or 10 times and it's failed 8 or 10 times.
Population decrease, good in their book.
Well, I'm going to conclude with this borrowing from an article that I have for many years agreed with. And excuse me if it seems like it's too in your face to Muslims. I don't mean to be that way. I have great respect for Muslims who practice the religion devoid of these ancient concepts. Trying to read out of it the excesses of a maniacal Muhammad, a pedophile Muhammad, and a mass murderer Muhammad in the second part of his life. There are Muslims who understand what I'm saying and realize that. There are Muslims who have no idea of that. And there are Muslims who understand it completely and embrace it. The exact percentages and numbers I leave to you. I do think the larger numbers are in the benign category. But here's the part that is the most disturbing. They don't speak up the way they should. Now, I can tell you I remember that with the mafia on a much smaller scale. There's a thing here about being defensive. And until it ends, you don't overcome this. But here's the comparison, okay? So Mandami appeared on the Jonathan Karl show on ABC. I know Jonathan Karl when he was a kid reporter in New York. Not going to say anything. So he made the following statement of his beliefs. This stupid, uneducated, family supporting him, little jackass Mandani. I believe that any state that privileges one religion over another is one that I can tell you I support. I can't support such a state. whether it's Israel or Saudi Arabia or anywhere else. Well, Israel doesn't support one religion over another. Israel is a Jewish state, like Poland is a Polish state, like Japan is a Japanese state, like Italy is an Italian state. But in all three of the countries I just mentioned, you have a right to practice the religion you want to. If you live in Italy, there are beautiful synagogues in Italy. You don't have to be Roman Catholic in Italy. If you live in Japan, there are Catholic churches and Protestant churches and all kinds of churches. If you live in Poland, yes, it's a Catholic country, but there are Protestant churches and there are every kind of church that you want to have. Same thing is true in Israel. I've gone to Mass in Israel. Never gone to Mass in the Palestinian Authority. And I can't go to Mass in Saudi Arabia because there is no Mass in Saudi Arabia. So if I want to go to Saudi Arabia for a conference on Sunday, I have to go find some secret place like I was a 2nd century Roman catechumen, hide, and practice my religion. In Israel, I could go to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre and listen to a beautiful high mass if I'm a Roman Catholic or a Greek Catholic or a Russian Catholic or an Armenian Catholic or a Protestant. Don't you see a difference? Don't you realize the propaganda that you have been subjected to about Israel and the Arab countries around them? Don't you realize that Israel is like you and the Arab countries around them are 1,000 years back trying to catch up? How did that? I still don't know how all of this happened. I don't know how this reversal of oppressed and oppressor happened. I don't know how Israel can be the oppressor and Palestine be the oppressed when Palestinians, from the time they're born, are trained to kill Jews and Christians. The people in Israel, I can guarantee you, are not from the time they're born trained to kill Arabs, nor are Americans. I'm not even sure when we're born we even know who the hell Arabs are. They don't kind of fit on the radar. So I believe we're going to fix this because I am an essential positive person. I believe if you can think positively, you can accomplish it.
I'm with you, Mayor.
If somebody tomorrow tells me I have cancer like they did with prostate cancer, I'm going to say I'm going to live. I'm in the 10% that lives, or the 20, or the 30, or the 40. When I was half asleep, and they told me that a couple of months ago that I wasn't going to make it, I saw my friend Sean, and Sean said, "This will be easy for you." And I said, "I don't know. This will be easy for you." I don't know. Third time, I said, "Yes, it will. I'm going to make it." You got to think that way. You've got to. We're going to get through this.
And for somebody who knows you, Mayor, I can't believe how well you are right now.
Well, thank you.
You're even a new person, believe it or not, like even an improved.
I'm more religious than I
Yeah,
was
an improved
because
version.
I had a religious experience that I've only partially revealed because I'm embarrassed. I don't know if I'm embarrassed or
I know what you mean.
maybe it's so personal. I'm not sure I should reveal it. I probably should go to a priest and ask him if it's okay to reveal it.
Yes, because it's sacred.
I went to confession afterwards because I got the last rites, but I hadn't been to confession in quite some time. So I went to confession it took about 4 or 5 days. A lot of sins no, it didn't. It took about a half hour, but.
Well, it affected me too, Mayor.
But
you made me
I
stronger.
went to confession. I got myself into a state of grace. But I still have questions. I have questions, real questions about it. I'm not sure I should reveal it. I shouldn't. What should I reveal? But I really do believe before that and after that even more, that we, America, are going to come out of this 250 years right back there and rejuvenate if we remember what I started this show with, and that is how fundamentally we are a country that is built on God. God has given us our rights. God has given us our mandate, and we have to carry it out under his guidance. Now, not all of us have to believe that. You don't have to believe that to be an American. But that is the majority view. It always has been, and it always has to be. Because as I like to say to people who don't believe in God, who are atheists, who I consider ignorant, or agnostics, who I consider discerning people, thinking, you're better off if most people believe in God, because you'll have a much orderly, peaceful, beautiful universe, because God can bring that about. When you don't have a focus for your morality, and it's just you, the primary quality that develops is hedonism. You don't want a hedonistic country or world because it'll feed on you. So if you believe in God, God bless you, pursue it. If you don't, cheer for people who do, because they're going to make a better world for you. What's happened to Tucker Carlson? Before we get off, we're going very late here. We haven't done this in a while, and we should be entitled to soccer time, Ted, because there's soccer time all over the place now. And even with the new thing, there was a game the other day when they wouldn't tell us how much time there was.
Yeah, you still don't know. It's up to the ref.
I mean, they're pretty good now. They tell you a little bit about but then there was like a little extra time they wouldn't tell you. Why wouldn't they tell you? Why don't I want to know how much I have to rush it? I mean, it's.
Yeah, well, the ref knows, only the ref.
Okay, last question. The least important, but really important in some ways. Can we win the World Cup?
Yeah, of course we can.
I'm going to tell you a secret, okay?
Okay.
When I talked to the president the other night, he said, "Do you think we'll turn into a soccer country?"
What'd you say?
He said, I think Johnny is doing such a great job of promoting it. And I think he tells me that Andrew is doing such a great job. You don't know how that made me feel when he said that. That was worth the whole conversation.
Of course.
My son, Andrew. He said, but I think once it's over, we're going to go back to baseball and football and basketball.
Yeah, football season's This keeps us busy without football right now.
Now, I said to him what I believe. And it's kind of superficial, right? If we win. Or get really close, like in the final game. If America wins or gets into the final, this could all change. Because the patriotic spirit, like in 1980 with the hockey, is so great. And my goodness, in the 2-0 win, they look so good, Ted.
Yeah.
Particularly playing with one man down for about a third of the game.
That was amazing.
Who knows? When do they play again?
Monday night, 8:00.
Okay, we got a while. We can talk about it. We can talk about it tomorrow.
It breeds
We
inspiration.
have to, yeah.
And who are they playing?
Belgium, who came back after being down 2-0
Okay,
late.
we'll see. Belgium was down 2-0 and then won 3-2, right?
Yeah, we watched that.
That's
So
what
they got those last minute goals at the very end.
Yes.
the country needs something to be
But
inspired about.
Who do they beat?
Senegal.
Don't you think we have a better goalie than Senegal?
We do.
He did a shutout today. Shutout's pretty damn good. Okay. Not that I'm an expert. I don't want to pretend to be.
We're quickly becoming.
We're going to try to get ourselves an expert between now and Monday, okay?
Get Andrew on tomorrow.
So I want to say to you, please pray for the United States. It's getting to be our 250th birthday. Let that be a birthday of renewal under a great president and give him the strength and guidance that he needs. Not that he needs a lot, but we all do. And pray for the people of Israel, our good friends, our loyal allies. Pray for the people of Iran who could be, for sure. I know it. And pray for the people of Ukraine who also could be, easily. They just want to be free. They want to be able to live in a country where the government isn't stealing everything from them, or they've got Putin trying to kill them. Look with favor on them and help our president. I'm not saying that because he needs help. I'm saying that because we all need help, including me. Thank you, God. Thank you very much for all that you've given us. Thank you for the 250 years. Wow. God bless America.
It's our purpose to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze, we are able to apply